anyone needs a recitation sheet, I have a few up here.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be back and see you all. I just returned from a short retreat at Shrivasti Abbey, and that was quite good. Ending in lots of smoke over there also. Hazardous air conditions for a couple days, so but everybody's fine. And things are impermanent, and we look at the sky this morning, and of course it's not like that for everyone, but we can be happy for our good conditions and wish them for every single being. So a special welcome to anyone who's here for the first time. Hello, and we hope you enjoy your time with us. And welcome to everyone on streaming. We'll do our usual thing here at KCC that we do on Sundays, which is first we do our recitation so that we kind of a reminder of why we're here at all, taking refuge in reliable objects of refuge, sources of true refuge, thus reliable. And that's in essence refuge in wisdom and compassion, both in our own hearts, in the hearts of all beings, and especially personified by the Buddha, the teachings, and those who follow the teachings. And at the same time, we generate this mind called bodhicitta. So bodhi is simply a reference to Buddha, Bodhi, Buddha, awaken. And citta is mind, awakened mind. That awakened mind sees quite clearly that, it sees our deluded way of being moment by moment, so long as we're under the influence of the ignorance of grasping at a separate self, a self-sufficient, independent, separate self. That's what we function from, most of us. And only because of the ignorance, it's a completely inaccurate picture. One might even say a hallucination. And based on that grasping at this delusion of a separate self, then we pile on the difficulties of, I'm averse to that one, I like that one, I run after this, I run away from this, I don't care about them. So the three afflictions, the three main afflictions of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, but all based on this false self, grasping at a false self, grasping at this hallucination. So, until we totally wake up, which we're trying and working at, and in fact doing, this is how we function. And that's called suffering. It's suffering. The good news is that we don't have to stay there. Isn't that great? So, but in order to, I heard Lama Michael on the streaming, in order to move out of that bad neighborhood, he said some reference like, it's kind of a not good neighborhood. In order to move out of there, we first have to see it. We first have to see it. And that's quite difficult. It's kind of, they say, like a fish seeing water. If you say to a fish, assuming you could talk to a fish, you'd say, how's the water? And they'd say, what's water? Water? What's water? I don't know there's anything different. So that's how we can be about this self-grasping ignorance. On top of that, the afflictions pile on. So a way to think about it is self-grasping ignorance piled on top is the self-centered thoughts. Me, I, mine. What'll I do today? How will I take care of myself today? That's good. Good to take care of oneself, but we get very tight about it. So that the smallest thing in our lives can become really the source of tremendous suffering. What car do I buy? You know, these certain trees burned down, and they're my trees. They're on the hikes that I've gone on for 35 years. This is true, by the way, and I am really upset. But you can start to see the suffering in the mind from grasping at that, from not opening to the unobstructed view that these kind of things happen in the world, and far more difficult things happen to others. It doesn't mean we don't grieve. It doesn't mean we don't have fear, anxiety. What it means is we see it, we look at it, and we don't embellish it, and we don't hold on solidly to it, and we let it go by. And we keep our focus on the end of suffering for all beings, everywhere, many of whom are suffering far, far greater than us. And we wish deeply for all suffering to end, ours and those of others. So let's start this morning together with this recitation for the practice of calm abiding. And then we'll do a short practice of contemplative meditation, which will hopefully help us touch on this bodhicitta in our hearts, and then we'll slide right into our calm abiding practice. Okay. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. So, whenever we sit down to practice, whether it's calm abiding or some other practice, it's really helpful to think for a couple minutes or even longer, why am I doing this? Why am I here doing this in this very fresh moment? And this recitation says, I'm here to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. So how do we get from this ignorant self-grasping, this self-centeredness? Even if you're a person with really, good intention, we still have this self-grasping ignorance. If we didn't have it, we'd be fully awakened. So, and some of you may be, I don't know. But most of us are still stuck in this bubble, first thought in the morning and last thought at night, and many thoughts during the day. What will I do next? When will I have lunch? I'm talking about myself here. When will my laundry, when can I do my laundry? When can I listen to this? When can I do my practice? And you can hear the word I many, many times. That's okay. We're good, precious humans, but we want to go beyond this. So how do we get there from where we are? How do we get to this Mahayana motivation to really think, I'm not only doing this practice, but each and every thought, word, action I do during the day, I'm doing it to help relieve beings from their suffering. How do we get there? So, one of the main, most beautiful set of practices in this tradition is the mind training practices. And I thought we might just spend maybe 5-6 minutes this morning with a contemplative exercise on what's called Tonglen, the taking and sending practice. So I just want to see, you're not being graded here or anything, but how many already do this practice occasionally or Okay, and how many have never heard of it? Okay, great. And, okay, that's good enough. First, let's just, what they call take a good seat. So you simply settle your mind and body. Shift around a little if you need to. Get your cushion so that it supports you, or your chair. If you're in a chair, it's quite good to have both feet on the floor. You might have to move forward in the chair to do that. Check in with the body. How's it doing today? Wish it well. Wish it to be relaxed. Wish it to be peaceful. Now, this Tonglen, taking and giving, in essence, what we do in this practice, we reverse the self-grasping habit. So we're going to experiment with taking on the suffering of someone or some group and giving to them our joy, our happiness, things that are precious to us. So that's the whole point of this, is the challenge to the self-grasping, in ignorance to the self-centeredness. So begin by thinking of someone who is suffering. Bring them to mind very clearly. This can be one individual, or it could be a group of people. Maybe people affected by a flood or fire, or those who are protecting them, who are working very hard in difficult circumstances. Or it could be your friend who was just diagnosed with cancer. It could be even your mother, who's maybe not on the earth anymore. So just choose someone that you feel positive toward. Bring them to mind and look very clearly at their suffering. And one part of this practice is to notice if you have aversion looking clearly. It's okay, just notice it. Now, continuing to hold this person or group in mind, reflect on the truth that just like you, exactly like you, and to the same degree as you, this person or group wishes to be happy and wishes to be free of suffering. See if you can find that equanimity between you and them. And feel within your heart a desire to relieve them from that suffering. Now, you simply decide to do that, and you take in their suffering with your in-breath. There are a number of descriptions of this, but one is to imagine it as a dark smoke that you take in, and it touches at the hard self-centeredness at your heart, and it melts it. Some more warrior types like to think of this as a bolt of lightning that comes in and strikes your self-grasping thoughts and blow them away, in essence. If it's difficult to think of taking the suffering, because in your imagination what you're doing is realizing that you will actually experience the suffering. That's a deeper level. In fact, you won't experience it from this meditation, but to strengthen the mind, you can imagine you will in fact have the suffering and they won't. If that's too difficult, simply imagine a kind of warm light between you and them, a warm light of your own compassion. And as you take in their suffering, that light simply melts it away. So let's do this for a minute or so. Now you can add in that on your exhalation. So you're taking it in when you inhale. On the exhalation, you give them some particular joy in your life. That can go out as a beautiful moonbeam toward them or golden light. But you might give them a good family, a safe place, plenty of food, water. And one level I find quite challenging is give them your Dharma, give them your Dharma teachers, give them your Dharma texts, as though you're really giving those away. And you simply go back and forth on the in-breath, taking in their suffering, relieving them of it. They are actually relieved. And then giving them something beautiful and joyful, whatever they need. So let's do this for a few minutes. Now it's quite good to notice any resistance in your mind, any thoughts that flit through, not to grab onto them, but simply notice. And you also may notice something joyful that rises when you have the courage to do this. When you have the loving kindness this requires, when you're willing to take this risk, and imagining them now free of that suffering, and imagining yourself completely free of your self-centered, self-grasping mind. And now you can completely let go of the images, thoughts, and come to your object for calm abiding, which is often the breath. Watch the story just dissipate into nothing. and slide right into your calm abiding meditation. As thoughts arise still, emotions, memories, maybe even some clinging to what you just contemplated on, let them go by. They will go by. All things are impermanent. If they don't go by, it's simply because we are feeding them. We are holding on. We are entertaining the thought, the memory, the plan. Just see that. And one helpful thought is to say, am I willing to let this go? So now we'll just continue with our calm abiding for some time. I will give us 1 or 2 breaks to move around and refresh ourselves. Over and over, coming back to the object of meditation to sharpen our focus and concentration. Over and over, letting go of what pulls us away from that. Simply seeing it, being very kind and gentle with ourselves, and yet very precise about what's going on in our own minds. adjust your focus and stretch a little if you need. Stretch if you need. Notice where your mind has gone. Bring it back. this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state. Thank you very much for those efforts. We'll have tea now, and please, is there anyone new here today? Just put your hand up. Welcome.
I'm not really new, but I'm new to this place.
Okay, well, welcome back then. Anybody else? So please be sure and introduce yourselves, and please welcome those who have not been here so often. A couple of announcements. October 21st, we'll have our celebration of this new wonderful building, this offering to the Buddhas, Dharma, and Sangha, with many activities. So that's a Saturday, October 21st. Look online. There's, at the KCC site, there's a lot of description of what will happen. Sounds like a lot of fun. Just one thing about that, we are going to do the sit-a-thon again, walk-a-thon, run-a-thon, sit-a-thon. So you can get pledges from people, and you can sit, maybe they'll pledge for you to sit 20 minutes, $20 for 20 minutes, and that will go to help support the center. So continue to get those. I sent an email out to a number of friends of mine, and these are still trickling in, so it's quite nice. You know, send an email out to your friends, send them the announcement, and say, sponsor me to sit for a while. A lot of them just laugh about it. Like, I'm not going to walk, I'm not going to run, I'm going to sit. I just wanted to say this morning, let's continue to keep in mind our wonderful friends who are on 3-year retreat. They're past their 1-year mark, and every day while we're running around doing our things, they're in their little cabins practicing for our benefit. So it's good to say some prayers for them every day, or at least include them, you know, in your moments of thinking of people in the world to support. A number of people from this Sangha are going to go to India in January. That is so exciting. It's kind of a larger group than usual. So if you want more information on the trip to India for Mahamudra practice, then also look at our website, and when Bill and Dora are back, you can talk with them. We need a little special help to get ready for this celebration in October by cleaning up our big yard. So as I understand it, it's this Wednesday. If you have time during the day, we're going to, those who show up are going to take a pile of cement and I think throw it in a dumpster. And then the other thing is to move some of the very large pews that were in the church here and put them somewhere. I don't know. Oh, Sally knows. 2 pews will come in here, and I don't know about the other. And 2 downstairs and 2 in here. Okay, so if you're interested in a very big church pew for a donation, you can have one. So you could go out in the yard and look at them. But particularly if you have some time on Wednesday, then contact Jeff Gunn or Linda Grove probably. Yeah, and if you don't know who they are, come see me and we'll connect you up. Any other announcements? Yeah. Oh, yeah. SCOL is having movie night on Saturday the 16th out there. Overnight potluck and camp out. Flyer in the back of the room. Someone else, Diane.
We'll take books again for the book sale, the Dharma book sale, the grand opening. If you didn't get to it last time, books, statues, pictures, anything like that.
Okay.
Just please leave it in the bookstore and please put book sale very clearly on it.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that for those streaming. The bookstore is accepting books and other Dharma items for the sale on October 21st. You can bring them to the bookstore, but please put a sign on them that say for the book sale. Okay, let's have tea.